proceed.
International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola has defended his decision not to back a commission of inquiry into alleged interference in the prosecution of apartheid-era crimes, saying he chose to prioritize resourcing the NPN Hawks to bring perpetrators to justice. Lamola is under cross-examination by counsel Advocate Howard Vani about his role as Justice Minister in long-standing delays in prosecuting TRC cases. He has reiterated that at the time, the Justice Department was grappling with severe budget constraints while also having to fund what he termed the most expensive commission on record, the Zondo Commission. Has more.
Lamola was confronted by Advocate Vani with concerns that an internal inquiry would not be able to compel evidence from departments where there was alleged resistance to meaningful investigations and officials could be required to investigate their own colleagues. But Lamola insisted the government faced a choice between funding a commission of inquiry or directing scarce resources towards actual prosecutions.
In the midst of this, the families and everyone, they are saying no. We want a commission of inquiry. If you are in my shoes, you have to make your choices.
The minister says he considered several options for an inquiry, including the appointment of a retired judge. He maintains that a commission of inquiry was not the only way to expose what had happened. Demakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News in Newtown, Johannesburg.
To this now, a warrant of arrest for media personality Molemo Jubjub Marohanye has been issued. Marohanye did not appear in the Jameson Mistress Court this morning as scheduled due to an apparent illness. He's facing charges of discharging a firearm in a public place and pointing an object likely to make a person believe it is a firearm. It stems from an alleged confrontation involving an e-hailing driver in Edenvale in June. Staying in the courtrooms, the multi-million rand trial involving former eThekwini Mayor Zandile Gumede has been postponed after one of the accused was hit by a car. The Durban High Court heard today that accused 15 Bongani Lomo was struck by a car on Saturday while walking in the Bluff area. Lomo, Gumede and 20 others are charged with multiple counts of fraud, corruption, racketeering and money laundering. It is alleged the accused unlawfully manipulated Durban's solid waste contracts to the tune of 320 million rand. As Tabiso Koba reports.
Accused number 15, Bongani Dlomo, is one of the directors of Ompile Tabang Projects. The company, which is also listed among the accused, is alleged to have benefited millions of rands from an unlawful waste collection contract. Dlomo's legal team informed the state that he was struck by a car on Saturday. He suffered injuries on his head and is currently booked in hospital. The trial was postponed to Wednesday for Dlomo's legal team to provide full medical and accident reports. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Durban.
And Europe has endured a summer of extreme heat with temperatures breaking records across the continent. Some parts of Germany and France hit 40 degrees Celsius for the first time, while parts of Spain experienced temperatures above 55 degrees for more than 55 days. Italy recorded a scorching 48.4 degrees in Sardinia, while unusually hot nights with temperatures staying above 25 degrees affected millions across France, Italy, Poland and Croatia. The extreme summer highlights Europe's status as the fastest warming continent in the world. Well, in your finances, gold is trading at $4,639.05 an ounce. The rand is at 16.02 to the dollar, 21.83 to the pound, 18.68 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $94.39 a barrel.
Well, at this stage in the Fourways area, there's slow-moving traffic on Winnie Mandela Drive approaching Witkoppen. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenvale at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeek. Traffic lights still not working in Fourways at Monte Cassino Boulevard and Witkoppen.
It is a fine day in store for Joburg. Temperatures have peaked at highs at 22 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour, Vusumuzi Ketmatala's lawyers are threatening to interdict the commission if they don't grant him a postponement for today's hearings.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja
Live, streaming countrywide.
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome to 7:02 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja, on this Monday, the 24th of August. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Guys, I know I was away, ne? Congratulations to all the winners of the South African Sport Awards that happened last night, and also the National Arts and Culture Awards that broadcast on Saturday. It was so fun being out of town, even just to breathe different air. What a difference it makes, but even better that it feels like spring is already here. I don't know if you guys are feeling those warm and fuzzy vibes inside with the change of weather. Coming up on the show, I want to find out from all of you around lies and politicians that lie. If there were a rule that you could get fired for lying, would you vote yes for it? And then tell me which are the politicians that would be safe if that law came about. And thirdly, what lies has a politician told you? Something that you have tracked and you can say for a fact it definitely was a lie. Movies and what to stream. Adelaide Moyeng joins us for that, founder of Movies and Stuff SA. Don't forget to share with us all of your recommendation series, movies, old, new, any genre of what to watch or what not to watch. Our travel feature, we're going to talk about whale watching in Hermanus with Igor Mutilska, who is the founder of eagerjourneys.com. And then in the second half of the show, Parenting and Parents feature, we're going to talk about the hidden visual challenges in children with Annemie Kruger, who is an optometrist. And then we wrap up with the naked scientist, Dr. Chris Smith, will join us for that. So get in touch, 011-883-0702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702, using the hashtag 702 Afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja.
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
We are very aware that politicians can be dishonest. And I'm even being economical with the words I am using, right? Because lying can, in some cases, I guess, be subjective depending who you're speaking to. Because some people don't just consider lies what you say, right? So let's say I say I'm going to be here tomorrow to broadcast a great show. But what I'm not telling you, for some people, would consider a lie, like withholding certain truths. Now, Wales has decided, and they are one of the first places to do this, where they're about to pass a law that allows them to fire politicians who lie. And feel free to share what you would consider in this context as a fireable lie. I know that there's this idea that there are little white lies, right? The innocent lies. The ones where your woman says, does this dress make me look big? And you say, no, it doesn't, when it does. There are those little white lies that people consider all innocent, but people like Oprah Winfrey say little lies actually cover up much bigger lies. But if this were to be introduced in the country, that you could be fired as a politician, or let's say a government service a worker, somebody who is there to be serving their country and their people, would you support this law? And should this include the lies that they tell to get the votes, rather, to be in office? Should that include that too? And for you, is lies a straight up lie, somebody speaking, telling something that is a complete lie? Or are we referring to omissions of truths as well, of just being dishonest and not speaking up when you're supposed to speak up. And what would that mean for our country? So, with Wales and what is being proposed, they would be the first country in the world where politicians are not allowed to lie by law. And the Welsh Parliament, referred to as a Senate, has passed this groundbreaking law making it illegal for election candidates to make deliberate, false, or misleading statements of fact to help their campaigns. Under this historic legislation, politicians found guilty can be disqualified from holding office, and the public gains new powers to kick out misbehaving members between elections. We are entering our election season, and we know that we're going to be promised the moon and the stars. There is already drama that is happening around, the Johannesburg mayoral candidates. There is a lot going on, and we know politics can be a very dirty game. So I want to hear from all of you, and I'll also share the penalties that have been outlined in this particular legislation, where they say the law creates a criminal offense for candidates who intentionally lie about facts during election campaigns. It doesn't ban politicians from breaking standard political promises once in office. Okay? Now, this is specifically for Wales. The penalties, those found guilty of deliberate deception, face consequences, including potential disqualification from sitting in Parliament or even running for office. And then the recall system, the bill includes recall powers, meaning the public can remove politicians from Parliament for serious misconduct. And then the timeline, the legislation being as highly complex as it is not going to come into effect until 2030 at the earliest because of the processes. But what could we take from this as South Africans? What is it that we can take? And I'm curious about the lies, because I really had to sit for a while and be like, what are the lies we've been told? What are the lies that politicians have told us? Are you able to track something a politician said while lobbying for your votes, and then they got into office and didn't do those things? Not because they were naive, not because it wasn't possible, they just didn't do it. My Ganga Commission is opening our eyes up to so many things. So I want to hear from all of you. 011-883-0702 and the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. If politicians in this country could be fired for lying before they get into office, if they could be fired for promising things and you could vote them out, what are the lies that South African politicians have told you? And would any of them be safe from being fired? 15 minutes after 1 o'clock.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
We are just over 2 months before we go to the elections. How can we believe all of what you are saying when you won't even tell us who you think should run a city like Johannesburg?
The ANC normally announces mayors post the elections. We've gone through a vigorous process that includes vetting of individuals, interviews of individuals.
How worried are you about MKP?
Every party goes to elections to contest. We are contesting with MKP as we are contesting with Al Jama, the DA, IFP, and anyone.
But none of them are a problem of your own making except for MKP. I mean, at a personal level, as Nomvula Mukunyane, do you regret supporting Jacob Zuma, which has led to this mess?
I even go to an extent of asking Comrade President Thabo Mbeki what went wrong. This is a different Jacob Zuma.
That's a nice soul, eh? Let's leave it there.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Vandalism and theft of water infrastructure affects everyone. Damage to pipes, meters, valves, reservoirs, and other critical infrastructure can result in water outages, low pressure, sewer spillages, and costly repairs that impact communities across Johannesburg. Johannesburg Water urges residents to help protect public infrastructure by reporting suspicious activity affecting the water network. To report incidents or water-related faults, call Johannesburg Water on 010-061-4470. That's 010-061-4470. 4470. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water.
At Checkers, every day gets better and better. Get better freshness, better choices, and better value for money. With deals like Parmalat cheddar or Gouda cheese, 850 grams, any two for 239 Rand. Dr. Utker Ital frozen pizza foldover, 2 per pack, any two for 129 Rand. And Twin Saver 2-ply white toilet rolls, 24 per pack for 149.99. Valid until 6 September, only at Checkers.
What's better than exploring the great unknown, getting lost in the wild, and turning it into an adventure? Discover the GWM Tank 300 with true off-road capability and a 2.4-litre turbo diesel from only 7,499 per month. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's and to book a test drive. GWM, go with more. Brought to you by GWM Finance, a division of Westbank, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
They said they didn't have a favorite, but that wasn't true. Mom takes pictures of it, and then Dad shows it off to visitors, and no one is allowed to touch it with sticky hands. When I arrived, they let the butcher hold me.
Melissa, we've spoken about kicking the new Decophone table. Come meet Decophone's irresistible new arrivals and grab your favorite furniture at your favorite prices. Now at your nearest Decophone or decophoneSA.co.za.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
A mobile virtual network operator. In other words, you're using a cell phone company that doesn't actually own its own network. They rent space from other networks. And a new report out this week showing Africa's market for these operators looks like it's about to grow rapidly.
And we expect South Africa itself to grow to more than 14 million by 2030. And then we have the rest of the continent, which is almost 1.5 billion SIM cards at the moment.
Dobek Partap, Director of Business Development at Africa Analysis.
The Money Show
on 702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking. Across West Africa, Genza Energy is strengthening reliable energy supply with more than 334 megawatts of installed generation capacity, while building the infrastructure needed for future growth. Through a EU 456 million rand financing facility, ABSA CIB is proud to support Genza's progress. That's how we're invested in your story. ABSA is a registered FSP.
702 afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
Lines are always open.
On 011
883
0702.
19 minutes after 1 o'clock, and we're talking about politicians and lies and things that they say that are just not truthful. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Would you support it being punishable by firing, being removed from office? Which politician would be safe and which have told those lies? I would love to hear from you. Some of your messages that are coming through. I'm going to kick off on Facebook. Garekwe says, I would definitely support that. Mzokolo says, the Zuma Stogies would protest that. Elsa says, we would have no politicians left. Terry says, you will be left with no one. Lol. Judy says, the turnaround for politicians will be huge. Like he says, in South Africa, we would have to fire the president and the entire cabinet if that were the case. Norma says, the whole South African cabinet would be gone. Rosie says, Parliament would be completely empty. William says, absolutely, yebo, let's do it. The Black Sage says, South African politicians would end up lying about passing that law once they get caught. Listen, and the other question we're going to have to ask is, who's the one that's determining the lie? Like, how would we create this system where we can say, okay, provide the evidence, now we know you're lying, therefore you must go out. Here are some of your voice notes on 072 702 1702.
One of the biggest lies that a politician has told us, our beloved cupcake, 30 million houses in Alexandra. That one was the biggest lie, and it has been proven. Thank you, great show. I'm looking forward to a great show. as always.
Hi, this is an interesting one. But for some reason, though, I think there are names like the Keaton Mackenzies and Fadil Adams, and names will come up now on this show.
Relebogile Shumani. Relebogile Fadil Adams lies. Those ones don't count that one because that one it's worse than a lie. He broke the record. So um, yeah, politicians always lie, sir, including the president. So and it doesn't matter if it's a church party or whatever, but these guys they always lie. Doesn't matter if the person is a very good human being that you have known for a long time, but when the person becomes a politician, he lies. Just like police. You know, a person that you know, if he becomes a police, he changes to be a bad person. Well, I don't know.
Hardly, Wahile, I would definitely vote for a law that bans politicians from lying. And I think added to that would be the need for them to state deadlines with their promises. So if they promise something, they need to say by when. And it can't be 10 years, it has to be within the term that they're serving. Because if they do not meet that deadline, then they have lied. It is as simple as that. This is Titi.
Thank you so much, Sidi. I was actually just saying off air to Abel that it's times like this that we miss our late colleague Sidi Madia, because I would love to hear what she would be saying about all the goings-ons at the moment with the different political parties and these elections that are going to be coming up. Tandiwe on Facebook says, I would definitely support it. Mario says, we can't even fire ministers who steal. Yo? Yeah, you can't even fire ministers who steal. Mabule says, but isn't lying part of the core competencies at the moment? It's a criteria that you must lie, basically. Aseza says, I would 100% support that law. And then Pierre says, so in essence, we're saying we're going to abolish the entire South African government. Interesting. On the WhatsApp line, hi Relebogile, we will not have a government at all. We won't even have a president. This is Mpo in Pretoria. Hi Relebogile, it's Boo from Soshanguve. Do you remember Ndaweni Mahlangu? He once said it is acceptable for politicians to lie back on the 22nd of June in 1999. What? You remember even the date? The date where they said it's acceptable for politicians to lie. I do remember, though, and what this quote that you shared reminds me of, I do remember a certain politician saying, we all have smolanyana, skeletons, here in our closet. Just smolanyana. Because to me, whenever I hear about smolanyana skeletons, I'm like, to me, smolanyana is like, okay, I didn't take back the change of 24 and 50 from the lunch. That's for me, smolanyana, not billions. Definitely not billions. More of your voice notes coming through on 0727021702.
Hi, really. Hope you're good. Hope you're good. Great show always. Good to have you back. Yo, Gaten Mackenzie. Yo. That guy can lie. Yo. And Kenny Kunene, they can lie. Yo. Yo. Hi, they can lie. Shem. The next one is Philem Balula. Yo. They'll never survive Shem. Oh, Baning. Actually, all of them. Yo. Ha. These people have lied, and the ANC has lied to the people. Hey, Kuningi, Kuningi. Yo, when I look at the Eastern Cape as well, the politicians are liars. They're still not running water, pit toilets. Yo, but they want votes. Hi, Suga. Great show always, really. Thank you so much. But Gaten Mackenzie, he's a sly liar.
Guys, Firstly, are we playing a drinking game on this show where you take a sip for every yo? It's starting to feel like that on this show. The number of yours that we have. Actually, guys, when you're listening to this show, get your bottle of water next to you, especially those of you that struggle. Every time a caller says, we drink our water. Larry in Lenasia, hi.
Hi, how are you, my dear friend?
I'm good, thanks, and you?
Listen, my sister, I was just saying, let us not paint everybody with the same brush.
Yes.
I know, the old thing was before they'll say salesmen and politicians are the same. They would lie to get a sale. You understand? And they say, but I think we must just be a bit more careful here. There are many, many good politicians. And look, I don't even want to name them.
No, I was just about, no, Larry, you can't say there are many and you don't want to name them. Please name them so we know them.
Look, I don't want to do it for simple reason. And I think just allow me that respect, right? What I'm just trying to paint out there, right? Many people live by ethics. They live by principle, right? And many of them leave to be a politician because of their principles, because of their ethics. There are many, many, many who did that, right? When they feel that, no, they can't toe the party line because it's just not moral. It's not just good, okay? And I think we need to give credit to that kind of thing. Look at the guy, what was his name? That the guy was offered 600 million rands, right? And he refused that. Now, that would have made a very, very good politician as well, because he knows that this is people's money. It's not his money. You understand? Your money, you can do what you want to with it. Nobody will argue. But when it comes to people's money, you got to respect that. And I still believe till today, in every political party, there are some very, very good people. They are very good people. So I want to leave my point. All I'm asking, my sister, let's not paint everybody with the same
Look,
brush.
this is why I'll tell you this, Larry. I 100% agree with you. There are so many good people, and we will barely hear about them. Why? Because the news that sells is the bad news. So they are there. And it is a pity that they don't necessarily get the relevant spotlight. But there are good people, guys. There are very good people working for our country. Your voice notes 0727021702.
Afternoon, Relebogile. I think you need to put in a disclaimer that when it comes to lying, insofar as the politicians are concerned, today's topic exclude Donald Trump, because the guy doesn't tell the truth all times. So please exclude him. Donald from Centurion. Bye.
Who's Donald Trump? Karabo, who's Donald Trump?
The Orange man, Orange.
Does not ring a bell at all. I'm struggling to remember. Yeah, maybe let's go to the news, and then maybe I can quickly Google and see who Donald Trump is, because it's not ringing a bell. 1:30. Time for your latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon, Puleng Mike.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. A second attempt by Vusmuzi Matlala's lawyers to halt his testimony has fallen flat at the Madlaga Commission. Matlala returned to the hot seat this morning, ready for legal arguments to be made on his application around his right not to incriminate himself. The 7 Mfuleni municipal employees facing charges over an alleged electricity reconnection scheme are expected to remain in custody pending bail. The suspects appeared in the Vanderbijl Park Mistress Court today, facing 4 charges that fall under Schedule 5, meaning the bail application will be subject to more stringent requirements. And staying in the courtrooms, proceedings have begun in Gqeberha High Court's inquest into the death of anti-apartheid icon Steve Biko, and the inquest was reopened last September, nearly 5 decades after Biko died in police custody following his arrest near Grahamstown, now Makanda. Biko, a founder of the Black Consciousness movement, died on 12 September 1977, aged 30, after suffering severe brain injuries and kidney failure. Well, those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 2, or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, in 4 ways, there's slow-moving traffic. This is on Winnie Mandela Drive approaching Witkoppen Road. Otherwise, the rest of 702 land looking pretty good. No serious accidents or major delays have been reported on our highways. If you're heading into the Joburg CBD, this is coming through from Cleveland heading towards Rivoli. There's slow-moving traffic on the M2 eastbound. This is approaching the Crown interchange. Also look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenvale at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeek. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The course is ready. The players are set. Watch as they step up to the tee and go for glory. From booming drives to crucial putts, birdies, eagles, and hole-in-ones, every shot could change the game. The tension is rising with every swing as the world's best battle it out. Explore an exciting selection of golf offerings with Hollywood bets and back your favorites on the fairway. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
So the other day I get this call from an insurance company. The lady asked me if I'm comfortable with my excess. I said excess? Well, according to my therapist, I'm apparently a little too comfortable. But sometimes you just need to make sure. You know what I mean? She just put down the phone. I don't get it.
Don't get that insurance. Get Pineapple. It's easy to get and online. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. T's and C's apply.
In case you're on the highway, driving to your first big maize delivery, and something mysterious happens. You stop at the garage to scope the damage. You realize the fuel system is kinda dear my car. You panic, but then you take a deep breath because you know Hino Care Gap Cover is there to cover anything outside the standard 6-year warranty. From steering columns to ABS control modules, it's the unseen essential in your business. Speak to your Hino dealer. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
There's so much health information out there, but how do you know what to trust? Catch the Clement Mangatela show tomorrow from 9 a.m. for Health Matters by Cipla Africa, where we'll be unpacking important health conversations designed to help you better understand your body and well-being. Health Matters by Cipla Africa is a trusted hub bringing you expert-led health conversations you can trust. Then head to the Prime Media Plus app or primemediaplus.com, scroll to Prime Media Highlights, and watch the latest Health Matters video featuring leading experts and thought-provoking conversations. Or WhatsApp the keyword health to 072-702-1702, and we will send you the link to the content.
Spend your afternoon
with Relebogile Mabotja
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
25 minutes to 2 o'clock. We're just wrapping up our chat we're having about lies. And to all of you on the WhatsApp line that are taking the comment I made about not knowing who Donald Trump is seriously, need to go for, you're due for a service of your sense of humor. Ukloka service, man. Maintain, because this life journey is rough. We must make jokes in between. Here are more of your voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Relebogile. We need to start with the president, and all you need to do is just listen to all the State of the Nation address speeches that he's done, and yeah, spot the lie.
Good afternoon, Relebogile. Flores from a beautiful Western Cape. Wow. That will be a game changer if that law comes to infect into South African politics. All our politicians will fail dismally because all of them lie. All of them lie. They make these massive promises and then they cannot deliver. I cannot see if we will ever have a real government because we will boot them out every time. That would be fun. Hey, no, seriously, we need laws so that we can really start holding our politicians accountable. They are taking us for a ride, man. Have a good job. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, Relebogile. Our politicians lie a lot. If that was a law in this country, they were gonna be in jail, most of them. 2017, Ramaphosa promised the people of Alexander 1 million houses. I don't think whether he delivered or not. He promised us a smart city. Still looking for the smart city. He promised to legalize prostitution. Even today, still waiting, you know? Yeah. When you go to those dark houses, we go there in fear. We don't even, you know, one of those things. Yeah, so they lie a lot, these guys. Yeah. Great show. Thank you.
Good day, Repotile. Good day, Savannah Lenders. Abraham in Florida. Repotile. I think the person who will be in charge of making sure that the politicians who lied go to jail or face some kind of repercussions will be the richest woman or richest man in the whole country.
Yeah, ne? One says the list of truths politicians tell would be shorter and better for radio. Julius Malema lied about firing a weapon, was found guilty. He should resign immediately. Blue lies when the president promises the people of Alexander to build 1 million houses. Philip from Soweto. South African parliament would be left empty. Moreshka says, I support it, but if the same law were applied to South Africa, we'd probably see politicians becoming an extinct species in this country. And then Peter says, how can we actually get this going for South Africa? Relebogile, now you want us to have no politicians. I think it's a CV requirement. If you don't have a lie qualification, then no job is what they go on to say. And the final one, two more. Good day, ma'am. When I was in primary school, my teacher says politics is a dirty game. It's me, Jeffrey Hwai from Tutumani, Alex. Another one says, yo, Lebo, I used to date this other girl, Soweto, growing up. She used to lie. Even if she said it was raining outside, I had to go outside and see for myself. I ended up naming her ANC Kada. Anonymous here from South Africa. Guys, what? And then another one. After Ndaweni lied, Mbeki said, we are behaving like Philistines. Crucify him. To end it all, he said, let those without sin cast the first stone. And that's from Prof. JJ Tabane. Thank you so much for all your messages, your calls, and your voice notes.
702 Movies.
Now for some entertainment where the fiction is scripted a lot differently with Adelaide Moyeng and Movies and What to Stream. Founder of Movies and Stuff SA. Follow on the socials. Let us know what we should be watching or what we shouldn't bother wasting our time watching at all. Adelaide, happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Lovely. How are you?
I am great, and I'm looking forward to more things to add on our list of things to be watching. So let's kick off with the first one, Lanterns.
Yes. For those who are big comic book fans, they might be familiar with the saying. I don't even know if it's worth saying for everybody, but Green Lantern is it's based off of a DC comic, and it's got one of the most famous quotes, which is the oath, the power of oath, where they say, in the brightest day, in the blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. And that's basically where it comes from for those who are big fans. But essentially, it is a superhero action drama TV series starring Aaron Pierre. That's Mufasa. I feel like that's the only way I can reference him. Because if I said, have you watched Rebel Ridge? Someone would be like, what's that? So I have to now say, Aaron Pierre. That's Mufasa. He is... He's playing the lead in this TV drama series. And if you've watched the actual comic itself, you will realize that this man was born to play Green Lantern. It's essentially the premise of the show is that a team of galactic peacekeepers, or the space cops for those who are not too sure, are known as the Green Lanterns, and they must investigate a mysterious murder that takes place in a small American town in Nebraska. And this murder leads to even darker mysteries. So Aaron Pierre plays John Stewart, a new recruit who's learning how to be a Green Lantern from his mentor and the legendary Hal Jordan, who's actually played by Kyle Shonda, who we know from Game Night and Friday Night Lights. And essentially, the Green Lanterns wear these awesome rings that are green, and they give them extraordinary powers. In fact, it's cosmic powers if you actually think about it, and it's based on the DC Comics. And it also takes place in a DC universe. So there may be a lot of hints for people who are watching about the Lanterns coming up. And also there might even be some future crossovers if this goes well. This is not the first attempt of them having to do a Green Lantern series or a story. The first film that they did was a 2010 Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern, which was, guys, save yourselves. Do not watch it.
How?
No, back then it wasn't that great. Hey, it did not get great reviews. Like, this is not even a secret. I have to be honest with you guys, or else it's gonna seem like I'm not being true to it. But
yes,
it's good to watch if you wanna laugh. If you wanna see what a bad superhero film looks like, you can definitely watch that. But to on the bright side of things, the reason why Ryan Reynolds pushed so hard to even get Deadpool done is because of how badly he felt he did on Green Lantern.
So he
if
had
it
to.
wasn't for
Yes.
that, we would have never gotten Deadpool. So that is actually something that we should be thankful for. You see, sometimes failure is not always a bad thing. And it's actually even where he met his wife as well. So it worked out for him better than most people. But this reboot, people are saying it's coming across as very well done. DC does struggle when it comes to bringing the comic book to fruition on film and on TV screens. But so far, this particular show, Green Lanterns, is getting really good reviews. So we're hoping that it will open up doors for us to get more DC-centered TV shows, because we do know when it comes to DC, they do amazing animation. And I mean, adults, you need to also give that a chance, but they do so well in animation. So we're just hoping that they finally get their groove right and they're able to execute as well when it comes to TV series and film. So that's definitely something that came out this week. And there's even like a 5-minute free clip of the actual TV series right now on YouTube if you want to watch it, so you can see whether it's worth the watch or not. But so far, the reviews are looking good.
Ma'am, you had me at Aaron Pierre. Guys, if you don't know who that actor is, I mean, I don't care how straight of a man you are. You can look at him and say, that is a good-looking man. Let's talk Fight Like a Girl starring Ama Kamata, our very own.
Yes, I'm so proud of this film. When it comes out, I'm going to be one of the first people to go and watch it. But it's essentially Fight Like a Girl is a film that was shot in 2023. However, it's now finally coming to the big screen, and it is led by Ama Kamata, and she's also starring with Hakim Kai Kazim, who is a legendary actor. A lot of people probably know who he is. I don't even know if I still need to explain who that is to you guys. We have some serious problems. But essentially, this film it's based on a true story, and it's about a young Congolese woman who escapes from a life of slavery and sexual assault in a world where she actually goes into a world of women's boxing. So essentially, like I said, it is based off of a true story of Safa, who comes from the DRC of Congo. And unfortunately, due to the political regime that is happening in the country, her parents are unfortunately killed, and she's taken captive to go and work in a mine. But she somehow escapes. And in her escaping and basically giving the best left hook you've ever seen, she ends up, unfortunately, being on the streets. But she also gets approached by a coach who is trying to build the first ever full female boxing team for Congo. So it is a lovely, inspirational story. Ama's performance has been getting amazing reviews. It's done a couple of circuits internationally as well. It's been debuted at the London Film Festival as well as the New York Film Festival and has gotten great reviews just based off of those two festivals alone. That should really tell you a really good sign. Guys, anytime a film does well at a film festival, please understand that they're being critiqued by industry professionals. So It's not easy to get praise or even get a 5-star. Mind you, it's gotten a 5-star reviews from the UK Film Festival. So for you to even get that type of praise and that type of review and critique at such a high level and prestige says a lot. And she also co-produced this film as well. So because it's Women's Month as well, I'm really loving the fact that we're getting, thought-provoking stories, unique stories that we've never seen on screen, done by women, produced by women. And also, like I said, the storyline itself is, it is heart-wrenching, but it is a story of hope and overcoming and, being triumphant, if you can say so. So definitely a film that I would hope that people go into the cinema to go and watch. It will be at your local Kiniko cinema, so definitely please go and support and watch local films.
Okay, I'm excited about this next one because I had already added it to my list of things to watch. The Last House, Netflix.
Really happy that it's on your list. So that means I'm coming with a good couple of titles for people to watch. The Last House, which is actually a mystery thriller. It's starring Greta Lee, who is seen on Past Lives, which is an amazing, and I must preface, an amazingly, incredibly written film that you must watch if you like thought-provoking and thoughtful romantic films. It's not necessarily swoon-worthy, but it's based in reality and realism. Amazingly written, got so many accolades, so definitely watch that. Greta Lee is in Past Lives, as I said, as well as Tron Aries. And essentially, this is about an unexplained cosmic anomaly which traps a family of 4 inside a house for the foreseeable future, and they now must live and learn to survive indoors until one day the mystery that is outside comes knocking to their window. It actually begs the question, could you actually stay in your house forever and ever trying to survive and see if you can actually make it with your family as well? I'm not sure because COVID proved that a lot of people really can't stand each other past 24 hours.
But
so,
also, I just don't believe human beings are meant to be around each other like 24/7. Like, even my 5-year-old son will say, "Mommy, I need space from here."
Like
they need space.
It's too much.
It's too much. Okay, thank you so much for chatting to us, Adelaide Moyeng, as we've really been going through the journey. So, Lanterns Season 1, Fight Like a Girl, Something Local, and The Last House.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Speaking of the ANC, they have failed to name their final mayoral candidate for the upcoming local government elections. So the party has instead announced potential candidates rather than its final mayoral candidates, with the final decisions now expected in September. And that raises a much bigger question about the state of the organization going into these elections. Is this indecision exposing deeper factional divisions within the party? Because opposition parties have already identified and positioned their preferred mayoral candidates. So what does this delay then tell us about the ANC's preparedness? And can a party struggling to agree on who should lead its municipalities convince you as a voter that it's ready to lead those municipalities?
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Planning for retirement doesn't have to be overwhelming. Join PPS on the 19th of September for its annual retirement summit, featuring award-winning speakers, authors, journalists, and financial experts. Whether you're under 45 and focused on wealth accumulation, or over 45 and thinking about wealth preservation, there's a program for your life stage. Enjoy a meal and gain insights for your financial future. 2 generations, one shared goal, greater financial freedom. At only $150 per person. Book now at pps.co.za/retirement summit. PPS, success is better shared. PPS is a licensed life insurer controlling company and authorized FSP.
Big advances in health are happening right here in South Africa. Local researchers are studying a new TB vaccine called M72 that could help stop people from getting seriously ill. And programs like Cochimpilo are helping men living with HIV overcome stigma, start treatment and stay on it through peer support and private chat guidance. It's South Africans helping shape the future of global health, supported by the Gates Foundation for 25 years. Partners of human potential.
You hear that? That's the sound of business execution finally visible. No more chasing people and reports, no more disconnected systems, no more guessing if our business is performing or not. iStratGo connects strategy, people, performance, and day-to-day work into one clear software platform, so leaders can see what's working, what's not, and where to focus. Because when execution is visible, everything runs better. Book a demo on iStratGo.com. iStratgo.com.
702.
Travel.
8 minutes to 2 o'clock, and time for our travel feature. And for today, we're joined by Igor Mutilska, editor and founder of eagerjourneys.com, where you can go and check out all of the other things that she is doing and even just past conversations that we've had right here. And today we talk about whale watching in Hermanus. Like, if you have been lucky enough to have had that experience, 011 883 702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Happy Monday, Igor.
Happy Monday. If I may tell you, Relebogile, the other day I went for a 10-kilometer walk along the beach or along the coastline, but it took me 3 hours because I kept stopping and admiring all of the whales. So even in Cape Town, they've put on such a spectacular show. Everywhere you go, you see these spouts from the whales. It's been so magical.
Oh my goodness. I am so envious. I'm so envious. So let's talk then about Hermanus and the fact that people can literally just make a whole trip to go and have that experience.
Yes, certainly. So all along the Western Cape coastline, but specifically along Hermanus, or what is known as Walker Bay. That's, of course, where we see nursing whales coming in, usually from around July until November. So most people know that whale watching is synonymous with Hermanus, but it's not just that area. It's the entire sort of coastline stretching 40 kilometers along that coastline. So it's between Mudge Point and Danger Point down past Gansbaai. So you've got this 15-kilometer deep water along the coastline, and of course that's what really attracts all of those whales to that region. But it's not just the coastline. It's, those sandstone ledges that are really beautiful as well. You've also got the Klein River Lagoon in that area, and the sand spit of Die Plaat. You've also got various honeycombed calcified limestones of De Kulders. So it's really beautiful when you're going to visit. You're not just looking for the whales, but you're also looking at the beautiful landscape along the way as well.
Oh, my mind has already drifted off. So, I mean, if we are talking about this experience, we obviously like to focus on the watching aspect. What other kind of experiences can a person have on this whole thing? Can you even hear the whales?
Yes, certainly, 100%. So often people think, it's exactly watching them, but you're absolutely right. And I think it's worthwhile just sitting down or stopping and having a listen, because essentially you're not just listening to the sound of the waves, but you can also hear how the whales are communicating with one another, or the spouts of air coming out, or how they're doing various kinds of like acrobatics and splashing around in the water as well. So often it's that plume of the water vapor. And I think at the same time, I love just listening to how tourists or visitors react, with gasps and squeals and shouts, and they're obviously recording everything as well. But once that quietens down, you hear that sort of ancient rumble as well of the whales. And I think that's something that really kind of really stays with you actually for a long time, especially if you go out on a boat. Because of course we know that in Hermanus, you can watch them straight from the land, but very often you can go out for a tour. And naturally, of course, it's all environmentally friendly because it's a marine biosphere and a protected area. There are certain regulations that all of these bird charters need to stick to. They can only go out to certain depths, they have to keep a certain distance from the whales, and they can only stay for a certain amount of time. And of course, we can't always crowd around them because we know that very often during this time, we've got the young little calves that come out into that bay, or that are born in the bay and then that are nursed in that bay.
So was Free Willy a lie, the movie? Like, is it realistic?
So, I remember Free Willy. So I love that movie. Oh my gosh, it's like etched in my memory. But while we do, of course, have orcas around the coastline, there are two that are quite popular around the Cape Town coastline. In these waters, we'll usually see southern right whales, humpback whales, and bride's whales. So bride's whales are the ones that generally stay in these waters, and we see them throughout the year. But it's those southern right whales that come from deeper along the Atlantic coming up here in order to nurse their young. And, sometimes people ask me, well, how do you distinguish between them? So very often with the southern right whales, they don't have a dorsal fin. And when you look at the blow, it's distinctly in a V shape. It blasts up to about 5 meters or so into the air through two separate blowholes, so it's easier to spot. And then, of course, if you get a clear look at their head, you'll notice that they very often have these raised off-white patches. These are called colocytes, and they're like a hardened epidermal tissue that's colonized by thousands of a little whale lice. And so essentially every individual has their distinct callosity pattern, very much like we have our own fingerprints. And so when researchers go and do aerial surveys, very often they see that many of these whales keep returning to that same bay year after year after year. And of course, that means that they feel really safe and comfortable here as well. And then, of course, with the humpback whales, they're identified by a small dorsal fin. They've got that distinct hump, hence the name. And they've got longer white-edged pectoral fins. And these are the ones that we very often see jumping out the water and crashing down on their backs. It looks like they're having the time of their lives. And then, of course, the bride's whales, they're a little bit further out, usually. They're the ones that chase pelagic fish like anchovies and sardines, for example. So we don't really see them close to the shoreline as often as some of the other species.
So what would you recommend for somebody who wants to head out there? When is the best time for them to book and just have that amazing experience?
So this is nature. We can't control nature, but certainly between July and November, I would say somewhere slap bang in the middle, so August, September, and to at least spend a few days and to drive along the coastline, not just to stay in Hermanus, but try Onrus, De Kelders, Gansbaai, and that general region. So even spending a day in each of the little towns along the way gives you a completely different experience and the chance to see other kinds of whales as well. But do book ahead of time because it gets very busy. This is peak season, of course, along that section of the coastline.
Oh, thank you so much, Igor Mutilska, chatting to us about that wonderful experience that one can have, and just not just about the whales, the entire thing. Head over to eagerjourneys.com for more. In the next hour of the show, our parenting and parents feature, we're going to speak about the hidden visual challenges in children. And then Dr. Chris Smith is with us for The Naked Scientist. Get your questions in 011 883 0702 in the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Puleng Make. A second attempt by Vusumuzi Ket Matlala's lawyers to halt his testimony has fallen flat at the Madlanga Commission. Matlala returned to the hot seat this morning, ready for legal arguments to be made on his application around his right not to incriminate himself. But his lawyers told the Commission they could not proceed, citing difficulties with consulting with him while he is incarcerated at the Koshimampuru Nauru prison. They also claimed to be incapacitated by the absence of Matlala's lead advocate, Annelien van der Heever. Komotso has more.
After 2 adjournments for Vusmuzi Matlala to consult with his legal team, his advocate Fatima Misi presented several hypotheticals, including that if the Commission chooses to continue with Matlala's application against self-incrimination, he will approach the courts to interdict the Commission and his entire legal team would withdraw.
In the instance you rule that no, we are proceeding, our options would be to go off record as his counsel and he would be without representation.
But this has failed to get the Commission to postpone Matlala's testimony to tomorrow. The Commission's chair, Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga, handed down this ruling.
My decision is to go ahead to hear Mr. Matlala's application.
This ruling means that Matlala's lawyers must be prepared to make substantive arguments on his self-incrimination application this afternoon. Komotso Modise, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
The 7 Mfuleni municipality employees facing charges over an alleged electricity reconnection scheme are expected to remain in custody pending bail. These suspects appeared in the Vanderbijl Park Magistrates Court today, facing 4 charges that fell under Schedule 5, meaning the bail application will be subject to more stringent requirements. As Anelita Fandese reports.
The 7 suspects, David Senegal, Caroline Maduna, Kenneth Mahobe, Hlautelo Baloyi, Bule Masilo, Andres Maduna and Sibusiso Chabalala, face charges of tampering with essential infrastructure, fraud, theft and money laundering. The state has flagged that more charges are expected as the investigation continues. The bail hearing is set to take place next Monday, 31st of August. The state has signalled that it will be opposing the accused's bail applications. The court has also heard applications to allow the suspect to submit warning statements, which the court will also hear next Monday. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News, Vanderbijl Park.
International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola says during his tenure as Justice Minister, his department attempted to engage with the families of victims over challenges facing the NPA in investigating and prosecuting apartheid-era crimes. Lamola is currently under cross-examination by counsel for the families of victims at the TRC case inquiry led by retired Justice Sisi Kampepe. The inquiry is probing long-standing delays in prosecuting cases arising from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Lamola previously told the inquiry that significant progress was made in dealing with the cases during his tenure. He's also told the Commission that despite financial constraints, efforts were made to engage the 25 affected families on proposals to determine how their cases could be taken forward.
So there has been some engagements with the families in this regard. So I'm not sure when council says the engagements did not happen, whether the expectations was that it was going to be some kinds of a structured process of engagements between myself and the families. But to the best of my knowledge, there was.
Proceedings have begun in Gqeberha's High Court inquest into the death of anti-apartheid icon Steve Biko. The inquest was reopened last September, nearly 5 decades after Biko died in police custody following his arrest near Grahamstown, now Makanda. Biko, a founder of the Black Consciousness Movement, died on 12 September 1977, aged 30, after suffering severe brain injuries and kidney failure. The court has heard that Biko's family application for legal aid was declined after a means test found they did not qualify for funding. Appearing virtually, Legal Aid South Africa COO says after engagements with the Justice Minister and Director General, the department could cover the family's legal costs.
For this financial year only, the National Treasury cut our budget by 261 million. We do not have extra funds available to be able to provide funding. And I'm hoping and I'm confident, my Lord, that the DG will provide the funding.
And moving further afield, Europe has endured a summer of extreme heat with temperatures breaking records across the continent. Some parts of Germany and France hit 40 degrees for the first time, while parts of Spain experienced temperatures above 35 degrees for more than 55 days. Italy recorded a scorching 48.4 degrees in Sardinia, while unusually hot nights with temperatures staying above 25 degrees affected millions across France, Italy, Poland and Croatia. The extreme summer highlights Europe's status as the fastest warming continent in the world. Gold's trading at $4,648.21 an ounce. The rand is at 16.02 to the dollar, 21.84 to the pound, 18.69 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $94.39 a barrel.
Well, at the moment in Sharon Lee, there's slow-moving traffic on Malibongo Drive between President Fushia and Pelez. This is due to faulty traffic lights. There's also slow-moving traffic heading towards the intersection of Modafontein Road and Van Riebeck in the Edenville area due to faulty traffic lights. Traffic lights also not working in Marlborough at Marlborough Drive and Old Pretoria Road.
A look at your weather. A fine Monday in for Johannesburg. Temperatures have peaked at highs of 23 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: a second attempt by Vusimuzi Katmatlala's lawyers to halt his testimony has fallen flat at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Minutes after 2 o'clock, it's the second and final hour of 702 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja, and we're going to be jumping into our parenting and parents feature, talking about hidden visual challenges in children. We'll be joined by Annemie Krier, who is an optometrist, and then we're going to wrap up with the naked scientist. Dr. Chris Smith will join us and take all of your science-related questions. So get in touch, 011 883 0702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 Afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Parenting and Parents
on 702.
Parenting and Parents time on 702 Afternoons, and today we are talking about the hidden visual challenges in children. Now, those of you that are caregivers, guardians, parents, aunts, whoever it is supporting, you will be getting those forms that come in, permission slip, can we test your child's eyes, yes or no? And I'd be curious, those of you that tick no, why is that the case? Or what have you observed in your kids that made you say, can my child see? That's what today's conversation is about. And we're joined by Annemie Krier. Is that Krier or Kruger?
So in Afrikaans, it's Krier, and English, it's Kruger. So I suppose we'll call it Kruger.
There we go, Kruger. Okay. I always have to triple check because I'm like, guys, every word has like 7 different pronunciations in South Africa. Annemie, just in terms of when parents need to start paying attention to kids' eyes, we know that when a baby's born, that they cannot see properly for a certain period. And even that one eye can have the delayed. I saw that with my son, and then it just corrected itself. I guess he's going to be, is the word squint?
Yes.
Where the one eye stays, but apparently it was just a bit lazy.
Yes.
Whatever that means in medical terminology.
So lazy is a how can I say, almost a term used for lots of things.
Yes.
Not necessarily meaning lazy, but yes, there could be it just needed time to develop, and it managed to correct on its own.
So let's talk then from the baby being born. What should parents start to look out for, and from what point? How many months should they start? And let's assume that because usually the parent is obviously taking a baby for checkups. Let's assume that something is not picked up in those, but a parent is trying to assess, can my child actually see properly? What should they be looking out for?
So it's quite hard to say when your child is still a baby, because obviously the eyeball is still developing. Regular checks with your pediatrician, they will be able to assess and pick up if there is any problems, and then refer maybe to a pediatric ophthalmologist and take it from there. So I suppose as the child develops, there's small things that you see the child do, over grasping, under grasping. Maybe I remember once I had a patient that the dad brought in. They took the little girl to the park, and she couldn't see the ducks, but you could hear them. And then brought in for a consultation, and then from there we picked up she was quite myopic. Worked because she was still younger than 6. We worked in conjunction with a pediatric ophthalmologist, and then prescribed glasses and correction from there.
So maybe we can use this opportunity for you to help us understand the difference between optometrist and ophthalmologist. So where does your work end and the ophthalmologists begin?
So optometrists are basically, I can almost say, we fall sort of into primary healthcare. We prescribe glasses. We do work with refractive errors and corrections like contact lenses, and from there, where an ophthalmologist is more pathology. So if I test the patient and I do pick up anything that maybe like a cataract or anything that needs to surgery or treatment or with medication, then we refer to the ophthalmologist. So it's we work in conjunction, but actually quite two different separate disciplines.
How often is it that people try to book an appointment with you and you're like, no, it's not me, it's the ophthalmologist?
So sometimes it depends if you can prescribe, if it's just something that we can do and we can prescribe normal drops or help them with that, then we can see the patient. But anything that requires specific medication, scheduled things, glaucoma, surgeries, we have to refer. They understand it quite easily, and patients are quite happy to go to the ophthalmologist if need be.
So let's talk from two, or rather you can guide to say, at what point should the eyeballs be so fully developed that now it should have some kind of alarm bell? So we're talking 2 years old, or do you wait till maybe they're 4?
So from an optometrist point of view, is we are more inclined to start seeing the children from the age of 5, that year just before school. If it's normally before that, you have to see them in conjunction with an ophthalmologist,
Yes.
because then normally there's more serious conditions. But for what we can speak as parents, sort of that year just before school, so 5, 6 years old, is a good time to actually start taking your child to the optometrist to see if all those visual I almost can say the visuals milestones are reached, and then from there we can see what do we need to do from there. Do they require refractive errors? Do we need to do our digital tracking? Do we need to refer or work with an occupational therapist? And we can do it from there. So I just wanted to say, so things that parents can say, we want to say, how do I find that my child maybe have visual problems? What will the parent see?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that is
especially because the child
things.
won't know
Yes.
that what they are seeing is not normal.
Is not normal.
Yes.
So simple things like squinting. So when they are looking at something, they squint their eyes, or they bring their phones or screens very close, or they go sit in front of the screen, very close to the screen. They sometimes turn their head to one side. they complain
As
of,
in, like, to use. Oh my gosh!
You maybe favor one eye compared
Yes.
to the other eye, so that is maybe where you will say a lazy
Mm-hmm.
eye. They also complain about frequent headaches, and they rub their eyes. So, like you mentioned, the kids won't know that there's a vision problem. So, parents should also take note, special attention if there is behavioral change. So, before my child didn't do that, now suddenly they're sitting close to the screen or they're squinting their eyes. In that case, then we would say, okay, now I think you need to book an eye test. Or sometimes, like you were mentioning, the schools.
Yes.
The schools are quite proactive. They will send you the letters home to say, can we do a visual screening? We've noticed maybe they're copying wrong from the board, or they're sitting in front, or they lose focus quite easily. Please have an eye test done.
So, just so that you can give us the spectrum of things you look out for, I'm imagining myself as a very lay person, and I don't even understand prescriptions because I don't wear any of them and I don't have anyone in my world. The furthest it goes for me is like the blue light glasses for being in front of your laptop. Now, when we think as lay people about eyesight, we imagine two things, which is how far can I read that thing and can I see properly at night to drive? Okay. But we know that there's a plethora of things that you check for. So can you educate us in terms of what are the other things? Like, for example, some people might not even know that they're colorblind for years, unless there's something specific you're trying to do, maybe become a pilot. Now it's like, sorry, you can't see this color. What are all those things that you test for that as lay people we're not even aware?
So this is where sometimes a bit of confusion comes in, and thank you for raising this question. It has to do with the eye test that we do. Yes. So when you think of a standard or traditional eye test, basically you come in there and it is a static target, and I see, like you say, exactly, okay, you can see the E or you can't. Then we correct your refraction to say,
just
okay,
so
now
you know, it gives us severe anxiety doing those tests. Like, we're like, is it an M? Is it an E?
I know. And I just tell you a funny story with that is, if I do not say to a patient, I am changing it to numbers, they will make letters out of those numbers. And then I'll say, oh no, but it's numbers. And then they can read it. So yes, your brain plays a big role. But you come.
There's even numbers. How did I not know there's numbers in the eye test?
So no, we do. It's just so that you don't obviously learn it and just repeat it with the other eye. So,
yes, I got you.
Yes. So coming back to traditional eye test, or what I say traditional eye test is, we are there to see if you've got a refraction error. And then from there, we will say, okay, here's your glasses or contact lenses or whatever visual requirements you need. But with parents, specifically looking at younger kids, we find that they can see, but they struggle with reading.
So they can see everything clearly.
They can see. And then the question now gets raised, but why is that like that? So why can you not read or whatever, or why are you rubbing your eyes when you're reading? But when I took you for the test, it showed you have 20/20 vision. Because when we do those tests, it's static. So when we are now looking at advances and we're looking at different tests we can do, and this is where our digital eye tracker comes in, it measures or tests when the kids are dynamic eye movement and coordination. So is the eyes working together? Okay.
Yes.
Is one eye jumping ahead? Do you lose focus because of eye strain? So it doesn't mean you have a visual problem that you can't see. It means your muscles get tired. So this is where
I see
the test becomes different now. So just to give you in layman's terms, so what the test is, it uses cameras and it uses infrared light, and it actually tracks or looks where the child is looking when they are reading.
Oh.
Okay.
So you know what I thought first?
Yes.
When you said, but if you can read, if you can see, and it's 20/20, then why can't you read? I immediately thought, isn't that almost like it could be a dyslexia, that you're seeing it, but the letters are jumbling up in your brain.
So dyslexia is a different condition. So this is therefore obviously you will have to see a dyslexic specialist or person that specializes in it. But what we are looking at is just normal eye movements.
Yes.
Okay. So when you think of reading, okay, we don't think about it. But what do? We pursuit. Now, a pursuit is a tracking of an object. When we always say to kids, or when they do sports, we say, okay, look at the ball, follow the ball. So it's something like that. Then saccades is a jump movement that we do. So when you read, it jumps from words. It's not a flat line, if I can say that. So we use that. And then binocular.
So just so I understand, you said the tracking part first. So if you're reading a book, it's the following of the lines, right? The jumping, are we talking maybe
to
moving
another word?
I got you.
Yes.
I got you.
Okay. So then binocular stability is one eye taking the lead and one eye is losing focus. Okay. That is when people used to say, oh, you've got a lazy eye, but it's not a lazy eye. It either has a refraction or it just loses a bit of its accommodation ability or convergence or things like that. So what we are looking at is these are the things that we use when we read. Okay. So now you have 20/20 vision, but you struggle. You lose your place, or you go back to read a word, or when you have to go to the next line, you lose your place. So what we are doing with our digital eye tracking, it tests or it follows and gives us a reading profile of what are your eyes doing when you are doing that reading task.
I have a question.
Yes.
Just with regards to 20/20 vision, so that we all contextualize it, because I would have imagined that 20/20 vision means you perfect score all round. But from what you're saying is that you can have 20/20 vision but still struggle with certain things. So what does 20/20 vision mean, and is that only related to the distance?
So you can have 20/20 at near or at distance. It's a Snellen chart. It is a chart that has been designed and it's got certain size of letters and it's put at a certain distance. And if you could read the bottom line, we would consider then you have 20/20 vision.
And then,
So
of course, that's the left eye and
the right eye.
the
So
spoon.
if you can remember when we went to school and the school
Yes.
nurses came there, they did a Snellen chart, VA chart, and they would say to you, okay, we assume you don't have a problem because you could see the bottom line.
I got you.
All right.
Oh my gosh, this is so fascinating.
So that is where that comes from. So coming back to it, yes. So we do use that, and we use that to see if there's refractive errors and correct. But there is so much more to actually eyesight than just I can see 20/20. Yes.
Okay, I want to take a moment for some questions. One says, Relebogile, please ask the optometrist. My 1-year-old's eye on the left is a bit smaller than the other one. Should I be worried, or it will just go to normal? Please advise. That's from Anonymous. So I'm assuming they're referring to the physical eye.
In that case, I would consult because you also, if it's the physical eye, there can be maybe if it's just a physical problem, then we know it's that. But sometimes it can also indicate from a neurology side. So I would go and consult either my pediatrician or go see an ophthalmologist in this case.
This question, I don't know if I understand it well, but I'm going to do my best.
Yes.
It says, please ask your guest, can a child have eye operation at 20 and 30 years later?
So it depends on which operation they refer to.
Please explain that question. Are they asking if a child can have an eye surgery at 20 and 30 years after the fact?
So I don't know that you're still a child at 20 or 30.
Okay, yes, that's the part that's confusing me.
So that is it. But so it depends on what operation are they referring to. If they are referring, so most people will come in and say to the practice, yes, I am short-sighted, I can't see far, I want to go for the LASIK. Now, the LASIK is where they actually correct short-sighted or far-sighted with a laser. So if they are referring to that, again, you need to go see your ophthalmologist, because it's not just going, okay, you can correct it because your script allows it, but there's other things that they need to consider.
Okay, I want to come back to this whole conversation about reading, especially because every year we get the information of what percentage of 8-year-olds or grade 1 learners or, grade 3 learners do not know how to read for meaning.
Yes.
Now, from a perspective of an optometrist, what percentage would you guess some of those issues are actually related to eyesight and have nothing to do with a child's intelligence or even learning abilities? And I won't hold you. I know you're just going to guesstimate.
So obviously I'm going to refer to the patients or the children that gets referred to us. I would almost say up to 95%.
Wow.
So that is now referral.
Yes.
Okay. Because what happens is that our visual demands keep on increasing. If you're not on your screen, you're on your phone. If you're not on your phone, you're on so the visual demand is just so much more. So now you have maybe a 6-year-old, okay? They now go to grade 0 or not or whatever the school is, and they are now required, we're starting with doing letters and reading and sight words and so on and so on. So that demand just creates there. Now, sometimes what happens is the development is just not fully there because normally, again, don't hold me to it, but around about 9 and 10 years, the development is there. The eyeball is now grown. Okay. So now we're already saying to our 6-year-old and 5-year-olds, listen, we need to now start reading and start. So that demand is there. With that happens is that you now start losing confidence or you because you are struggling. Okay. And then it's just something maybe like a little bit of therapy is needed. So we need to help maybe with the accommodation, or we need to help with the convergence a bit, or just strengthen that muscle a bit, or it's something like that. So this is why we concentrating or starting to bring in this eye tracking test so that we can assist parents better in saying, okay, look, it like you say, it doesn't mean the child is not intelligent or there's that problem, but we can strengthen the muscles to help with convergence or accommodation or whatever the problem is. So to bring you back to what the eye tracker is, it's a digital thing that tracks where the eyes are looking. But we do different tests. We do the pursuit test. Like I said to you, that's the following of the object. Then we do a saccade test to see, is the eyes jumping? We do a binocular stability test. That means, are both eyes working at the same strength? Okay. And then we create a reading profile. So when we look at our reading profile, it is age appropriate. So it doesn't help me to give Shakespeare to a 5-year-old.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it is reading appropriate. It is in different languages. And then from there, we gather data and say, okay, this is what I see the visual profile is. And then we can go to the next step that includes maybe visual therapy.
Yes.
Or maybe a visual correction because we don't have that 20/20 vision. Or we work with a multidisciplinary team that includes your occupational therapist and your educators or educational psychologists, all kinds of things like that. But the goal is to gather that data and assist the child from there instead of just going, I need to go for an eye test. Yes, you have 20/20 vision. Please go to the next maybe profession.
In closing, can you share for all the parents, caregivers, outside of limiting screen time, what are the other things that can really help with eye care? Because I come from the era of just eat your carrots and then we moved on with life.
The carrots are good, so don't stop eating those.
Yes.
But screen time, besides screen time, but screen time plays a major role. Okay, so encourage, obviously, regular breaks, especially if screen time is there. Make sure that your kids have good lights around them if they are doing homework, that their posture is right, not lie on the one arm on the desk because you're tired, because that all influences vision. encourage them to play as much as they can outdoor.
Yes.
Okay. There's lots of studies, that is something else, myopia, but there's studies that shows the more you're inside, the weaker your eyes become compared to playing outside. There's lots of studies. We'll do another appointment on that one. And then leverage these digital eye tracking tools. Go to the optometrist and say, listen, I need this test to be done. And it measures all those different things, and then try and do a plan from there. Main thing is remember to look at behavior.
Oh my goodness, we're going to have to leave it there as we've run out of time, but I'm so looking forward to us connecting again and talking about these visual challenges and how the technology has evolved to help us. It's just after 2:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. The Justice Department will fund the legal representation of Steve Biko's family in the reopened inquest into his death. The decision comes after Legal Aid South Africa declined the family's application, citing failed means test and financial constraints. The inquest got underway in the Gqeberha High Court today, almost 50 years after Biko died in apartheid police custody. A second attempt by Vusumuzi Matlala's lawyers to halt his testimony has fallen flat at the Madlanga Commission. Matlala returned to the hot seat this morning, ready for legal arguments to be made on his application around his right not to incriminate himself. But his lawyers told the Commission they could not proceed, citing difficulties with consulting with him while he's incarcerated at the Kochimampuru prison. And the 7 Mfuleni municipal employees are facing charges over an alleged electricity reconnection scheme are expected to remain in custody pending bail. The suspects appeared in the Van Bail Park Magistrates Court today, facing 4 charges that fall under Schedule 5, meaning the bail application will be subject to more stringent requirements. Well, those are the headlines this EWN and more at 3 as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage in Sharon Lee, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on Malibongo Drive between the N1 and Belez. Otherwise, the rest of 702 land not looking too bad. Free-flowing traffic across our highways. No major delays or accidents have been reported. However, look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenville, Morafontein Road and Van Riebeeck. Traffic lights still not working in 4 ways at Monte Casino Boulevard and Bidkop. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The verdict is in. Not all paint stores are created equal. At Chamberlain, paint isn't just another department, it's what we do best. Professional color matching, custom color tinting, expert advice, trusted brands, friendly service. Don't miss the grand opening of Chamberlain East Rand with deals so good it's criminal to miss them. Get 30% off Dulux and Plascon tinting or walk away with a 20-litre WeatherGuard or Marketex for just 899 Rand. Valid between 1 and 13 September. Visit Chamberlain East Rand at 26 Great North Road, Benoni. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
They said you were too small, not worth their time. But you built anyway, made a plan, made another plan. Today, Yoko frees you from survival mode, so you can breathe again. Make smarter calls and do what you love. We once gave you access. Now we're giving you tools to compete with the big guys. Yoko, let's grow.
The Checkers Hyper price drop is back. Save up to 40% on pork value pack for just $59.99 per kilo. Tate's potato chips 125 grams, any 8 for only 99 Rand. Save 53 Rand. And Coca-Cola, Fanta or Stony soft drinks, a 300ml 24-pack for just 169 Rand. Valid until 6 September, only at Checkers Hyper.
The Festival of Motoring, powered by Westbank, returns to the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit from 28 to 30 August. Experience thrilling track drives, supercars, drifting, 4x4 adventures, and the very latest in automotive innovation. Book your tickets now on Howler. The Festival of Motoring, where legacy meets innovation.
You made your mark on Election Day. But what happens after the votes are counted? This week, catch the Clement Manyatela Show in conversation with the South African Local Government Association on 702. Tune in as we unpack how local democracy works, what you can expect from your ward councillor, and how every resident can play a meaningful role in shaping their community. Democracy lives here. Make your voice count beyond the ballot box. The Clement Manyatela Show in conversation with Salga, inspiring service delivery this week on 702.
Coming up on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. with John Perlman. Happy Monday, John. Earlier we were asking of everybody that if politicians could be fired for lying, especially because of Wales about to pass this law that if you lied to get votes and then you get into office, you actually can just be fired. And I asked of all the listeners, which politicians do you think would be safe in South Africa?
Yo?
If you have your bottle of water, that's two sips.
Keep drinking. Yo. So I haven't read up on the Welsh thing,
Yes.
but I did hear some of your listeners' comments. I mean, there was one person who called in and said, if they promise to deliver a certain thing and they don't,
Yes.
or they don't meet a deadline, it means they lied. Well, I've missed many deadlines in my life, but there's a number of reasons. That said, that doesn't exonerate politicians for making promises that are not realizable. My view generally, though, is that this stuff will just get snarled up in the courts. The best way to deal with all of this is elections. And, some people turn around and say, but we have elections and nothing ever changed. Well, hello, who cast the votes? These people didn't vote for themselves. Well, they did, but that was just the one. The rest of us also marked our X's. Politicians... I was reminded of a very funny American commentator who referred to a politician there who said every word that comes out of his mouth is a lie, including and but. and so I think that was a very good sort of warning label on your purchase.
That is so funny.
I think when people lie about the mismanagement and use of public money, I think they should be prosecuted. But we have laws for that. We have the Municipal Finance Management Act, we have the Public Finance Management Act, and so on. We have not done well, and I'm not blaming listeners because we don't necessarily hold power except in a very general and abstract way. But this country has not done well at prosecuting crooked and lying politicians. Do we need another law, or do we just need to use the ones we have?
I mean, the other question that one of the listeners asked was, let's say we were to do this thing where people could be fired for lying.
Yeah.
Who are the ones tasked with saying, yes, you lied, and now you must be... Who's tasked?
Yeah.
And who exists right now that could be... It sounds like the Commission of Liars would be loading.
Yeah. And then, of course, there'd be all these people getting sick, with the
and not making
new
it.
version of Madlanga lighters.
What's coming up on your show today?
My word. Sometimes the fix is worse than the problem.
Right.
Just sit on our hands for a bit and see what happens in November. So, very interesting piece on the Begisisa website. They cover health matters, health policy, but also quite a lot on drugs and drug availability. They've written a piece on Ozempic and similar drugs and the likelihood of those drugs coming down the cost curve as a way of dealing with illegal and sometimes dangerous alternatives that are being sold through unregulated channels. We'll look at that at 4:10. Begisisa editor and founder Mia Malan is excellent on the story. She's with me a little bit later in the show. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, I cannot really tell you what's going on, except that Vusimuzi Kat Matlala, after a long morning of back and forth, is actually being questioned. And we'll get Khomotso Modise, our journalist who's covering it. I'm very glad she's there because, as I say, I'm not too clear on what's going on. Gayton McKenzie, Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, speaking, he got a few yours, I remember. Speaking of politicians, has said that he gave SAFA 13 million rand to implement VAR, the football decision review system. Now he wants his money back because they haven't used the money for the purpose. It's quite a complicated story, and you could ask questions about, do you put money into something when the other party has not put down their guarantees for the rest? Because we put in 13, not he. We taxpayers put in 13. The whole thing's probably going to cost about 90. So what were the guarantees for the other 77? If that indeed is the correct number, we'll explore all of that after 5.
Oh, John.
I know. Spend some time in the Kruger Park like me. I didn't give this stuff a
John,
minute's
just so
thought.
you know, before you came into studio, the day was a lot sunnier.
Oh, sorry.
Then
No. Ozempic price is coming down. What's the problem?
And 13, yeah, I don't know if you do the same thing, John, that when you hear a figure
Yes.
in relation to anything with our public funds, do you think about the things you could have spent that money on?
Well, I think about the things they could have spent the money on and what they should have spent it on. A topic for another day.
Deep breathing before 7:02 drive.
I'll try to be as sunny about all of these things as I possibly can. It'll be challenging.
There we go, 7:02 drive with John Perlman from 3 to 6 p.m.
702. The Naked Scientist.
Time for The Naked Scientist with Dr. Chris Smith, 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 702. We're going to jump straight into it. Dr. Chris, in our Parenting and Parents feature today, we're talking about visual challenges in children and this amazing tech that looks at the fact that you could have 20/20 eyesight, but now it tracks eye movements and all of those things. And I was curious about any of the latest tech with regards to eyesight. I recall seeing somewhere that somebody somewhere in the world had helped a person who was blind actually see using tech. I didn't go too in depth, but I know that is one of the things that was reported around the world.
Well, it's a major priority because sight loss is something which happens all too frequently. And it's also something that happens as we get older. There are conditions like age-related macular degeneration, which rob people of their functional vision, and it robs them of their quality of life. So trying to restore vision to people who have that problem, but also inborn problems. Some people have genetic reasons that they can't see or that their sight degenerates. And people are trying to work out how we can remediate this. And I think one interesting area that's being explored are both cell-based but also technologically based therapies, because the problem with the eye is that the retina, which is the light sensitive sheet at the back of the eye inside your eyeball that converts light waves into brain waves, for want of a better phrase, this is an extension of your central nervous system. It's part of your brain, and the brain, when you injure it, does not regenerate itself to any great degree. And so the retina, being part of the brain, when it's injured or affected by the aging process, has a very limited ability to regenerate, at least in humans. But there are cells that are capable of turning into the kinds of cells we need to repair a retina. So researchers are looking at if we can take stem cells and put them into a diseased retina and enable them via the right sorts of stimulation to turn into the cells that are now missing from the retina and help to restore some semblance of vision, and or slow down the disease process that is robbing a person of their vision. That's showing some degree of success, and people are beginning to make steps in the right direction with that sort of therapy. The other approach that's being taken is to say, well, if the retina itself isn't working properly, can we make an artificial retina and put that into the eye and restore some semblance of vision? And this also is making some strides forward. And there was quite an interesting and intriguing story in the last couple of years where researchers have got a way of making effectively light-sensitive pixels, a little array of light-sensitive material that can be implanted into the back of the eye. And this then triggers signals that go into the optic nerve, which lies underneath where this is placed. And so when light shines onto the device from a special pair of glasses, the light gives energy to this chip, supplying it with the energy it needs to detect that light and then send a signal into the optic nerve. And so people are, I mean, it's early days, but people are beginning to get sufficient vision to read, albeit very big, but big numbers and letters, and actually see, in inverted commas, again, having previously not been able to see in that patch of their visual scene. So watch this space, really, is the thing. It's a slow process. It's very, very slow for people who can't see at the moment, too slow. But, I mean, all these things take time, but it's certainly a step in the right direction.
All right. Thank you so much, Doctor. 011-883-0702, the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702 for your science-related questions. There's one that says, Hi, Relebogile. I would like to know from Dr. Chris, what causes babies that are born without hands and feet and with the face disfigured? And when is it picked up during pregnancy? I'm seeing more and more, or maybe because of the era of social media.
Well, one of the famous examples of these sorts of birth defects were those individuals who were born with limb deformities caused by thalidomide, a drug that was given. It was in the 1960s that people began to have this drug. And in certain contexts, that drug is amazing. It does amazing things in people with certain malignancies, for example, but given to healthy women who are pregnant for other reasons, it can cause major problems. I mean, it was used as morning sickness treatment, and it damages the cells and the messages that cells use to communicate about how they need to develop into digits, like hands and toes, fingers. And as a result, there were children born with limb bud deformities. But as soon as that was identified, that was withdrawn and that problem went away. There are other reasons, though, why individuals may have inborn errors that lead to structural abnormalities, anatomical problems. There are genetic things that go on, and because the face is such a complicated structure, more than 80% of your genes are used to assemble your head and your face. And so if there is an error genetically, then very often it's manifest where lots of genes are used, hence the face. So it's a very visual thing, you're going to see it. So you do get craniofacial abnormalities with a lot of genetic problems. And that can also affect the hands, because developing fingers and toes is also genetically a very complicated program. And so that will also cause problems. One other reasons why people do get craniofacial and limb abnormalities is infection in the womb. When a pregnant woman catches certain infections, they can be what's called teratogenic. Some viruses, not all, but some viruses can cross the placenta, going from the mum's bloodstream into the baby's bloodstream, and they target certain tissues in the developing baby, especially tissues that are growing very fast, tend to be very favourable for virus infection and damage from viruses. And this can lead to brain changes, it can lead to craniofacial problems, and certain viruses like chickenpox, for example, can damage the developing hands and feet. And so you can get those sorts of abnormalities. They've always been there, but obviously as the population grows, and as the population becomes more interconnected with things like social media, information is spread more readily, so we're more aware of these sorts of things happening. So there's a range of reasons why a person may come across these things. They've always happened to certain extents, but we tend to see and hear more about them these days because we're better at talking about them. We destigmatized a lot of them, and we can do a lot about a lot of them, so they're worth talking about.
I have to ask, Doctor, you have those reality shows on TLC and those things where people have these really severe deformities, and a lot of them come from areas like India, for example, and then they're brought over for these life-changing surgeries that are needed. And I'm curious that if there are areas that have higher cases than others, and if it is at all related to history of incest within families.
That can play a role, and I mean a really good example of that, of areas of the world, well, of diseases that are affected or very common in certain places and undertreated at the moment, are things like cleft lip and cleft palate, and this can be life-changing when a person receives surgery to fix that abnormality. And I have some friends who are doctors and craniofacial surgeons who go out and they run a series of operations to help people in that position, and they change their lives, really change their lives. And that's a really amazing thing to be able to do for people. But yes, there are some of these sorts of conditions that are linked to genetics. And with any genetic problem, if you marry people who are closely related to you, you have a much higher likelihood that you're going to disclose that genetic problem, and it tends to concentrate in a population. The reason being that when you go and have a child with somebody who's unrelated to you, distantly related, unrelated to you, then their genes are going to be quite different forms of a lot of those genes than yours. And so you'll just create a child that's a mixture of your genes and their genes. And the chances of a gene being abnormal in both parents, and therefore you haven't got one to compensate, is very low. But if you interbreed with individuals who are very close relatives, cousins and so on, which some cultures do, there's a much higher likelihood that they've got a copy of a gene that's defective, and so have you, because you're closely related. And when you bring both copies of the genome together, there is no healthy working gene to compensate, so these sorts of genetic problems are more likely to manifest. And this is why we do see this in certain populations and certain geographies. It doesn't just have to be cultural, it can be just because of the isolation of living in certain parts of the world where people don't travel very far, and so you tend to get a concentration of certain genetic types in the population, and that can make these sorts of problems more common.
All right, we have to take another break. When we come back, we continue.
Everyone has their first, that life-changing moment when the music spoke to your soul and you both listened. With global icons Kamasi Washington, Angelique Kidjo, Themba Mkhize and Africa Mkhize, Ibrahim Malouf, Floetry, Manana, Internet Ati, and over 40 world-class acts. This is Jazz Reignited, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz, 25th and 26th September. Buy your weekend pass now via Ticketmaster.
Experience the race day rush with Hollywood Bets and JetX. Activate aviation adrenaline for a chance to win one of 2 once-in-a-lifetime ultimate Abu Dhabi Grand Prix experiences and your share of 1 million rand in cash. Ready to go full throttle? Bet 10 rand or more on JetX and you could jet off to the United Arab Emirates. Competition runs 10 August to 30 September 2026. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Are you an investor who likes easy access to your money, or do you prefer locking it away?
Absolutely, to both.
ABSA has an account for you. Earn up to 7.5% with ABSA Cash Invest Tracker and get immediate access to your money, or earn up to 7.7% with a 12-month dynamic fixed deposit account. Invest on the ABSA app. Your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply. Minimum investment required. Rates as of July 2026.
702. The Naked Scientist.
7 minutes to 3 o'clock. We continue with Dr. Chris Smith, our naked scientist. 011-883-0702 and the WhatsApp line 0727021702. We've got a voice note.
Hi, Dr. Chris. Good afternoon. Regarding eyesight, I've got a question. I recently, within the last year, got diagnosed with epilepsy, which is basically what the doctor told me is my brain is shrinking and there's a barrier between my skull and my brain. And since then, even though I wear glasses, my eyesight is getting worse and worse. Would there be any connection there? Please let me know.
Ooh.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Obviously, I'm very cautious about making speculations on medical things, especially when I haven't had a chance to think about them, and everyone's case is a little bit different. Is there a connection between a decline in eyesight and epilepsy? And the mention is made of spaces increasing in the brain. Well, one possibility is that there is some kind of space-occupying lesion, something's pressing on something, and that's stopping fluid circulating properly in the brain, because the brain is surrounded by and filled with fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. This is made in the centre of the brain and then flows out through some holes to surround the brain and spinal cord. And if something blocks up the ability to reabsorb that fluid or its ability to get out of where it needs to go from to, it makes the brain change shape and the amount of fluid builds up in certain places and not in others. This can be transmitted to the back of the eye and puts pressure on the optic structures at the back of the eye. You get papilledema, as it's called. So that's one possibility. Perhaps there's a pressure-related effect going on, and perhaps whatever is causing the fluid not to circulate may also be pressing on something and causing the fits to occur. I don't know, and I'd hate to speculate. So the best thing to do is to go and have, obviously, proper medical follow-up to investigate all this properly, have imaging, and exclude things that can be treated. Otherwise, why would vision be connected to epilepsy? I'm not sure that there's a direct correlation between declining vision that happens naturally with age. Remember, that's a factor as well. Everyone's vision changes a bit as they get older in terms of their ability to see far, see near, and so on. So important not to muddle that up or confuse that with other medical problems that might be going on inside.
All right, a final question. What does dagga do to the brain that cocaine or heroin does not? Or are they the same, that it gets legalized? This is from Mish in Ekurhuleni.
What's the name of the agent?
The agent that they mentioned. They said dagga does
What's
it
that?
Cannabis.
Right, okay.
Sorry, I had to remember that dagga is actually a very South African word. I only clicked now.
Yeah, not come across that. That's a new one on me.
Yes,
yeah,
cannabis.
I'll add that to my vocabulary. Yeah.
Dagga,
well,
yes.
The difference here is drugs work against what we call receptors. So if you have a molecule, which might be a molecule of cocaine, it might be a molecule of heroin, it might be a molecule of tetrahydrocannabinol, which is the active psychoactive ingredient in cannabis. These agents produce an effect in the nervous system because having got into the body via whatever route, some people eat these things, some people snort these things, some people inject these things, smoke these things, they get into the bloodstream via whatever the route of administration, and the blood carries them to the brain. In the brain, nerve cells there, which communicate with each other via neurotransmitters, have receptors, which are chemical docking stations on the surface of the nerve cells. And those chemical docking stations, in some cases, will bind the molecule that you've taken, the drug molecule that you've taken in, because the drug molecule looks very similar in shape and structure and chemistry to one of the nerve transmitter chemicals that those nerve cells use naturally in your brain to talk to each other. So it's a bit like if you've got something that looks a bit like something else, you might mistake it for something else. It can produce the same effect. So when you have these chemicals going into the brain, they dock onto the receptors which are on the nerve cells that are sensitive to the brain's natural chemical that's normally there, that the nerve cells use to talk to each other, and it hijacks that system. And in the case of cannabis, there is an endocannabinoid system. These are your brain's own natural cannabis-like chemicals, and the cannabis taken as a drug hijacks that system. In the case of heroin, your brain has heroin-like chemicals in it called the enkephalins and endorphins. There are receptors for those, and morphine and other opioids and opiates look like those molecules and hijack that system, strongly activating them. In the case of cocaine, the way that works is it goes onto nerve endings which normally have a transporter to pull the transmitter chemicals that the nerve cells secrete back into the nerve cell for recycling. And cocaine puts that into reverse, stops them bringing the nerve transmitter back in, and displaces more of the nerve transmitter from the nerve endings. So your brain becomes awash with certain nerve chemicals, particularly serotonin, which is a pleasure chemical in the brain, and that produces the effects. So drugs produce effects on discrete populations of nerve cells that are sensitive to those particular drugs, either because they use a transmitter that's very similar chemically to the exogenous drug, or they target a structure on the nerve cell that makes the nerve cell release more of its own transmitter or stop it taking up its own transmitter, and that increases the transmission signal. And in that way, you get downstream effects of the drug. So different drugs produce different effects in different parts of the nervous system. That's why different drugs affect us differently.
We'd have to leave it there till next week. Thank you so much, Dr. Chris Smith.
So the other day, I get this call from an insurance company. They asked me if I knew what their third-party policy entails. I said, third party? Whoa, big dog. I haven't even been invited to the first one yet. And they just put down the phone. I don't get it.
Don't get that insurance. Get Pineapple. It's easy to get and online. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. T's and C's apply.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
Get the hottest 100-buck deals this week at Food Lovers Market. Buy 3 pineapples and 3 700-gram banana thrift packs for 100 Rand per combo. Delicious chicken thigh sasatis for a low 100 Rand per kilogram. And any 2 1 kg tubs of Food Lovers crushed garlic or garlic and ginger for just 100 Rand. Valid until Sunday, 30 August, only at Food Lovers Market. It's in the experience.
Thank you for joining us. It's just after 1 o'clock. 3 o'clock. Sorry, 3 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Justice Department to fund Biko family legal team, and Lamola refuses to assign blame for TRC crime delays. Good afternoon, I'm Puleng Make. The Justice Department will fund the legal representation of Steve Biko's family in the reopened inquest into his death. The decision comes after Legal Aid South Africa declined the family's application, citing failed means